Hello! I'm currently in Cologne, Germany, where I hit up 5 Christmas markets in one night. Just in case you don't know what a Christmas market is, it is exactly what the name says. It's just a market around Christmas time. So they're around for about 4 weeks leading up to Christmas, and they sell all sorts of things from mulled wine and bratwursts to Christmas ornaments and leather goods. Now I did try the mulled wine or glühwein myself, and I quite enjoyed it. It's a warm wine which is made with spices, so it's got a bit more of a kick to your usual wine, and it definitely does a trick to warm you up. What I really loved about the Christmas markets was the atmosphere. I mean, just listen to the buzz. People are eating and drinking and having a great time, even though it is really cold. So yes, it's a great way to get people out in winter. But most of this week I was still in Amsterdam, and it's a city that I got lost in. I mean, I actually got lost. The canals all looked the same to me, and they form concentric circles around the center, so roads don't always go straight. And obviously there's no grid, and some roads will go down one end of a canal and they'll just stop, and you'll have to turn and cross over the canal somewhere else. It's very confusing. And it doesn't help that there are the same shops everywhere. I mean, you'll see coffee shops, Argentinian steakhouses, waffle shops, pizza joints, and seed banks where you can buy various strains of marijuana to grow yourself. But speaking of coffee shops, that's kind of a code name for where you can buy legal drugs. So I tried a space cake which has marijuana baked into it, and it's the first time I've ever had edibles. So basically I felt very self-aware the whole time. I was thinking about what am I going to say in the video log, and then thinking about what I'm going to say in the video log, and then so on and so forth. So yeah, it was kind of this endless cycle. But for me, it was just nauseating, so yeah, it wasn't enjoyable. And it turned me off trying shrooms, which a lot of people told me I needed to try while I was there, but after that experience, I couldn't bring myself to do it. A word of advice though, if you do want to try it, is to definitely read up on it beforehand, which I didn't do. I didn't realize it took so long to kick in, and I didn't realize how long it would actually last, so it was probably a bad idea me taking it when I did. But I did try other Dutch food. A lot of it is deep fried, and you can get them at places like Fabo. Now just take a look at this. You insert the exact change, you open a window and you pull your hot food out. I mean, it is so efficient. Another thing about Amsterdam is that houses are built right next to each other, and you pay for the amount of frontage you have to the canal. So you can't afford to have really wide staircases. What this also means is it's actually really hard to move your stuff in up staircases. So what they do instead is they have a little hook at the top of your house, which you chuck a rope and a pulley to, and you hoist up the stuff that you want to the other floors through this system from the ground. I also went to the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, which yes, had more Jesus and Mary paintings, and yes, had more Chinese porcelain. I feel like I should actually talk about this Chinese porcelain a bit instead of just ragging on it the whole time. So if you haven't been to like a zillion museums which have Chinese porcelain, basically, the whole world thought that Chinese porcelain was the bomb, but no one else seemed to be able to make it, and so everyone tried to imitate it somehow, and the Dutch are no exception. But what I did really enjoy at the Rijksmuseum was this tiny little section on locks and keys. I mean, just look how cool these keys look. I also have a public service announcement. If you use Google Maps and you use the favorites function, which adds a little star on your map, you should know that there is a limit. According to internet sources, the exact number varies from maybe 200 or 500, maybe 1,000. I'm not really sure. I'm not going to count mine. But basically what happens is when you go over that amount, they just start removing your old stars, and they don't tell you that that's happening. And I've been traveling, so I've been starring like a bunch of places, and now all of my stars from Sydney are gone, and that's kind of heartbreaking because I can't even remember what I starred, but it was good stuff. So the media I've been consuming this week is the cast recording to the musical Hamilton. If you have no idea what Hamilton is, then I don't know what to tell you. Hamilton is written by the genius Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote the previous Tony Award-winning musical In the Heights. Hamilton broke records for the number of Tony nominations that it got. It's a musical about the founding fathers of the United States, particularly focusing on Alexander Hamilton, who's someone that I hadn't even heard of before this musical. And most Americans know like 1 or 2 things about him, but he's not that important of a figure to them. It's got musical styles from rap and hip-hop to jazz and pop. It is so smart. There are so many references, and the rhymes are incredible, and the musical as a whole just works really well together. So yes, go listen to it now. And my question for you is, what is the last musical that you saw, and what did you think of it? I feel like I've been talking non-stop, so I'm gonna go, and I will catch you next week. See ya!